Newcastle United, the club some call the sleeping giant of English football, could be on their way back to the top of the Premier League. Over the past few weeks, it has emerged that Newcastle United are in advanced talks with PCP partners over the sale of the club, which would make them the richest club in the Premier League at the moment. This would end the spell of unpopular owner Mike Ashley, who Newcastle fans feel hasn't invested enough money into the club and hasn't taken it seriously enough, hence the reason why Newcastle haven't progressed under him and have been relegated to the Championship multiple times. So today we look at how a possible takeover could affect the Toon, but first, what do we know first about the potential sale of Newcastle? What we know so far. So, PCP partners, headed by Amanda Staveley and featuring money from Saudi princes, have agreed a deal with Mike Ashley for the purchase of Newcastle United Football Club. Now, last night it was reported that contracts have been exchanged and deposit has been paid in a Newcastle United takeover, and no announcement will be made before it was 100% finalised. So we're not expecting anything in the not too distant future. However, last night, Amnesty International and BN Sports have raised questions to the Premier League about the possible takeover of Newcastle due to human record concerns from Saudi princes featuring the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. I'm sure you'll hear more about that on my wrestling YouTube channel, The Wrestling Debate. Whenever WWE go over to Saudi Arabia, there's a big hoo-ha made of it. So, yeah, do they have the power to overturn it? It's too soon to know, but we will be keeping it right across it. And to follow all the latest news, follow us on @thefootballzone and then 2_ on Twitter for all the very latest news in football and on the takeover of Newcastle United. So what would a takeover mean for Newcastle? Obviously, being one of the richest clubs in Europe, not in Newcastle, in Europe, would be a hugely exciting time for the Toon, and they can expect big changes. And this started last night, with there being rumoured that the Saudi owners had already held talks with Maurizio Pochettino over becoming manager there, and are in good talks and could well agree a deal, and he would take over for next season, replacing Steve Bruce. I just want to see Steve Bruce on the touchline at the new camp. Those would be incredible scenes. But yeah, so this would be the start of the revolution at Newcastle. Obviously, Pochettino, a hugely accomplished manager who took Tottenham to a Champions League final, was in charge of them 6 years before being sacked earlier this season, very harshly most would say. So this would be a fantastic appointment by Newcastle. Newcastle have also been linked to former manager Rafa Benitez and former Juventus manager Massimiliano Allegri if Pochettino doesn't come in, but it was said that Pochettino is first choice. Now moving into players, but Newcastle have already been linked with Arturo Vidal from Barcelona and would be prepared to face competition from Man United, and it's rumoured that he would even prefer a move to Newcastle. This just shows the pulling power that Newcastle may have in the future if this takeover does go through, and that they could attract some of the world's best from some of the world's biggest clubs. If this signing did go through, it would be a major statement of intent by Newcastle, and does make the impression that they could be challenging right at the top in a couple of seasons' time, should they be able to get some more world-class players into the team. So in conclusion, a takeover of Newcastle would clearly be a good thing for the Toon and could see them challenging right at the top of the Premier League again soon and in the European places if they got a world-class manager on board like Maurizio Pochettino and start managing to buy players like Arturo Vidal from Barcelona and other world-class players from clubs and can beat clubs like Man United to signing players like Arturo Vidal. So, being the third richest club in Europe, I think it was stated, clearly won't be a bad thing for Newcastle. But with their human rights record, the Saudis, it could be a very dark, in a way, moment for English football. And should it be allowed? That's for a different video. But it would certainly stop sponsorship income coming into the club. And is that a concern? I'm sure it is. But the days of Mike Ashley being able to sure cause celebration for Newcastle fans, and all they want is their club at the top of the league. So is the Saudi takeover a good thing? Yes, but I would say with a disturbing truth behind it. And on that note, I think that's all for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.